Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a My 2 Cent video for this week, for the week of July 24th to July 30th, though. I won't have a review this week, though, because a couple of things have come up, and I have to deal with it this week, so unfortunately I won't have either a video game review or a movie, TV show, streaming movie review for this week, unfortunately. I'm hoping next week, but we'll have to see how everything plays out, though. But for this week, there won't be any review for Tuesday and all. But anyway, we got 4 stories to cover, including rumors about the possibility that Kid Icarus Uprising could make its way over to the Nintendo Switch, the so-called remake of KOTOR, or Knights of the Old Republic, apparently might be falling into development hell if this report is basically true. We also have word about the possibility of a Black Panther video game might be happening, though. And last but not least, we've had Hideki Kamiya make comments in regards of basically Bayonetta 3, including the whole, that mode where you can basically make Bayonetta look less revealing than she normally is, though. If you're interested in where I get the source of these information, so links will be in the description of this video, assuming you watch this on YouTube. But before we get started, though, I'd like to do what I like to call the quick My 2 Cents, stories that kind of caught my attention, but I'm not going to go into a huge amount of details. The first one has to do with a report earlier this week that pointed out that Roller Champions, the game from Ubisoft, there were reports that they would be shutting down that game after Season 3, if I'm reading that correctly, though. However, Ubisoft recently came out and said that's not the case, though. The game is still alive and well, which is kind of interesting considering there have been several reports that Ubisoft has been shutting down several games lately, to be exact. So we'll have to wait and see how this all plays out. Maybe the game is still alive, maybe it's not, though. We also learned that supposedly the Lord of the Rings Gollum game has been delayed on all platforms at this moment, but the Switch version coming a little bit later and all. It is unfortunate, but maybe they're working out to try to make sure they iron everything out, though. I mean, the game looks promising, but we'll have to wait and see, though. We also learned reports that supposedly there is a leak online on the PS Store of Square Enix Tactics Origin Reborn, though. No word from Square Enix at this time whether this is accurate or not, to be exact, though, and no word if this is going to be coming to the Nintendo Switch or not. Personally, I would love for it to come to the Nintendo Switch, but we'll have to wait and see, though. We also learned about The Last of Us Remake will be coming to the PC supposedly after it launches on the PS5. I'm aware that the game has certainly gotten a bit of a controversy. Some folks are not happy with it being charged $70 for it. Others feel like the upgrades are just at minimum at best, and it certainly does open up an issue of debate about Sony's handling of the situation. I mean, I can understand why some who may have never played the game or never owned a PlayStation, they may have a different view than for those who either played the original on the PS3 or The Last of Us Remaster on the PS4. So, but I mean, we'll see how it is when the game comes to the PC and whether or not that game does well on the PC or not, though. We also learned that apparently someone discovered something in Nier Automata, supposedly of an impossible door or an area of the game, though. And this has gotten the Nier Automata communities scratching their heads. There have been cases of some people think this is a modder, some people saying this may not be the case. So far, there's only been one person who is able to find this room, so it certainly has some people scratching their heads, though. I am as well, though. I am kind of curious if this room, it'd be interesting to hear if this pops up in, let's say, the Switch version of Nier Automata, or if someone found this on the PC or the Xbox version of Nier Automata. But either way, it has certainly gotten some folks in the Nier Automata community a little bit confused over this, though. We also learned about supposedly Rockstar about the Grand Theft Auto 6, and there have been several reports of it. There has been some cases about the possibility of it starring a female protagonist, though. There have been cases about the scale of the game. They may have scaled it down a bit, though, following supposedly a shakeup at Rockstar, ranging from it being more of a business than a boys club, to be exact, though. Again, some of this report has come from Bloomberg via Jason Schreier, though. So we haven't heard anything official yet at this time, though. The fact that it's possible it could star a female protagonist, I certainly don't have a problem with that, though, as long as it's done the right way. I mean, I had no issue playing Bayonetta or playing, Lara Croft in the Tomb Raider games, or even Samus in the Metroid series. So I really don't have much of a problem if Grand Theft Auto 6 does star a female protagonist, though. One thing I have heard, and some might view this as political or not, is that some people are throwing around the woke, the SJW, and the feminazi card. I'm not fully buying that at this time, though. To me, I feel as those people who play that card are just as bad as those who play the race card in bad situations. So I'm having a hard time buying that woke argument at this time, though. But since we haven't yet seen Grand Theft Auto 6, so we'll have to wait and see if some of these reports turn out to be true or not. And last but not least, in the non-gaming side, we saw that Marvel revealed several trailers for some of their upcoming, projects that will be appearing on Disney Plus and in theaters. The first one is I Am Groot, which is basically, I believe, a mini-series of what Groot was like, I think, before he joined, Rocket Raccoon and became part of the Guardians of the Galaxy. The trailer looks really nice, and probably will keep an eye on that one. We also saw the trailer for She-Hulk Attorney at Law, though. I mean, that one might be good. For some reason, maybe this is just me, though, but for some reason, I'm getting somewhat of a Ally McBeal vibe or something like that. For those who don't know, I remember that show back during, when it came out when I was in high school, back in the late 90s and all that stuff. So I'll be curious to see how this one goes. And last but not least, though, we saw the trailer for Black Panther Wakanda Forever, which will be premiering this November. I am curious to see how this is all going to play out, since the original actor Chaz Boswin, if I'm saying the name correctly, passed away a couple years ago, and I'm kind of curious to see what direction they'll go with the sequel to Black Panther and all. Okay, and now that we're done with the quick My 2 cent part of my My 2 cent video, we'll get started with our first story, and this one has to do with Bayonetta 3. Now, I'm sure for Nintendo fans like me and all, I'm sure we're all looking forward to picking up Bayonetta 3 when it comes out in October, to be exact, though. What they have shown so far has been very impressive. I've enjoyed the series from the first one all the way to the second one. I'm looking forward to the third one, though, when that comes out. Now, one of the things that was shown during one of the presentations, or better yet, what has been revealed, is that apparently there is a mode called Naive, or if I'm saying the name correctly, Naive, Angel Mode. Basically what this is that this is supposedly an optional mode where you could basically tone down Bayonetta a little bit, less on, the whole nudity and all that stuff, even though that's what Bayonetta was one of Bayonetta's one of the main features for Bayonetta, to be exact, though. Now, this has led to some people talking about this, wondering if this is Nintendo being a little bit kiddie and all that stuff, which is kind of interesting considering that Nintendo over the years has sort of changed to being a little bit more open-minded than they have been before in the past. And supposedly Hideki Kamiya did respond to this on Twitter. Now, there have been several articles on this, though, but it has all translated from Nintendo Everything, though. And this is what supposedly Hideki Kamiya had to say on Twitter in regards of this mode and Nintendo in particular. He said, quote, "I see a lot of people bring up Nintendo when discussing the nudity in Bayonetta, but during our time with Bayonetta 1, port Bayonetta 2 and Bayonetta 3, the only suggestion we received was regarding Link's costume in Bayonetta 1 and 2 and how it should have been a little bit more revealing. No bias influenced that aspect of the game, and I think players can enjoy the game without worrying that it may have been. As they're saying that they believe that Kamiya is referring to the late president of Nintendo, Marek Shikirawada, mentioned Nintendo isn't a giant company with red tape around every corner. And after working with them for such a long time, I get the impression that although there are times we may butt heads, they're surprisingly open to direct discussions around development and sales. So according to what Hideki Kamiya is saying, though, is that Nintendo wanted the Link outfit for Bayonetta to be a bit more revealing than what was shown, which is kind of surprising to be exact, though. But, you know, at the same time, though, like I said before, we have seen a different change to Nintendo, to be exact, though. They're not... To me, I've seen is that they're not how they were back in the late 80s and early 90s, where they were a little bit more kid-friendly, have to be, you know, oh, we have to do this for the children, though. They've been somewhat of laid back or stepping back on those kinds of situations and allowing developers to get away with however the type of game they want to make, though, as long as it stays within the rating system, to be exact, though. Now, I'm not saying Nintendo is 100% perfect. We have seen cases where games like Tokyo Mirage Session, where they have, for the Western version, sort of toned down compared to the Japanese version when that was released in the Wii U, and we saw a situation with the Switch version where it turned out that the version that everyone was getting was the Western version, not the Japanese version. This led to somewhat of a backlash against Nintendo, and they had to admit that they apologize and admit that they should have been more upfront about it and was willing to offer people refunds in Japan, to be exact, which also led to the Wii U version of Tokyo Mirage Session shooting up at #1 in Amazon in Japan, though. So not everything Nintendo has done has been perfect, but there's no denying they are a bit more open now than they were than, let's say, the situation we're seeing with Sony lately, where they've been a bit more going into basically having some games either censored or not showing up on their platform at all. And while I understand that is Sony's decision, and that may be true, I don't 100% agree with that position, to be exact. So to me, my thing is that as long as the game stays within the rating system, if that's the kind of game that they want to make, then so be it. As for this angel mode and all that, native angel modes, to be exact, though, again, I said this before when it was announced, I think last week or something, and I'll say it again, though. If it's an optional choice, that's fine. I mean, it's something people can turn on and off. If you want to turn it on, fine. If you want to turn it off and not touch it or not touch it at all, that's fine as well. It's ultimately your call, and I'm not really losing sleep over this mode being Bayonetta 3, to be exact, though. I mean, it's still going to be an M-rated game at the end, no matter what, though. So overall, though, very interesting response from Hideki Kamiya on this, though. A little surprised to somewhat see that Nintendo wanted Link's outfit on Bayonetta to be a bit more revealing than it is, though. But at the same time, though, obviously Nintendo has changed. It's not as kid friendly, though. That's not to say they won't appeal to kids or parents, though. But as their main audience, to some degree their main audience, though. But it's not on the same level as Nintendo was back in the late 80s and the early 90s and all. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we'll get to part 2. And this one has to do with reports of the possibility that a Black Panther video game might be in development. So we'll take a quick break and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of my 2 cent video. And for this one, we're going to be talking about the possibility that we could see a Black Panther video game, though. Now, Marvel has been on a roll lately, though, and we've seen a lot of their IPs or characters that don't get as much attention compared to stuff like Spider-Man and X-Men, though, really start to take off, whether it was when it started back in 2008 with Iron Man, to where we are right now, which ranging from characters like Ms. Marvel, to even Black Panther, which was popular but really shot up with the 2018 release of Black Panther, played by the late Chaz, I think, Boswin. Again, I apologize for not saying the name correctly, who sadly passed away in 2020 though. Now, obviously, we have basically saw the sequel to it, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, that was shown during San Diego Comic-Con. Well, recently there is some reports coming out to the possibility that a Black Panther video game may be in the works, and it may be developed by people who worked at Monolith or Software, or the same folks who did Middle-earth, Shadow of Mordor, or Shadow of Earth, I think the sequel, if I'm saying the name correctly though, to even EA publishing the title. And in an article from comicbook.com, it reads that, quote, video game publisher Electronic Arts is reportedly working on a new video game associated with the Marvel superhero Black Panther. Within the past day, a notable new tease came out suggesting that the game tied to Black Panther was in development in some capability. And while details were critically sparse at the time of this tease, we have learned much more about what this project could have in store. Coming by the way of video game industry reporter Jeff Grubbs, which it's worth pointing out he has a history of being a hit and miss sometimes, so take this information with a grain of salt though. This new Black Panther game is said to be in the early stages of development at the moment. The title is said to be currently going by the codename Project Rainder, if I'm saying the name correctly, and is being made by a new team located out of Seattle. The development team is also said to comprise of former members of Monolith Productions, which previously is most well known for its work on Middle-earth, Shadow of Mordor, and a sequel, Shadow of Wars, which, for the record, that game got a little mixed response, mostly because of what many people fear, the whole microtransaction situation though. Anyway, as for what the game itself will entail, Grubbs went on to say that it will be a single-player open-world RPG. In regards to the story, Grubbs also teased that it has quite a bit association with what we've seen in the upcoming film Black Panther Wakanda Forever. In short, the narrative is set to start with the original Black Panther being dead. From here, the player must look to take on the mantle as the new character that steps into that role. It wasn't made clear whether or not T'Challa will be the playable version of Black Panther in the game or not though. As for why EA is looking to publish this game in the first place, it sounds as though the company is looking to further capitalize on the success of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Prior to the release of Fallen Order, EA has essentially stopped releasing single-player games that didn't contain live services elements. However, Fallen Order was a massive hit, which led to the forthcoming sequel, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, getting greenlight. Now EA is looking to make a larger splash in the single-player space, this time by teaming up with Marvel Games, though. So, like I said before, this is a rumor, so it should be taken with a grain of salt. That being said, though, I definitely see the potential of this game being good, but I can also see how it can also fail, to be exact. The idea of an open world, single-player experience with RPG elements for Black Panther could technically work in some ways, and I could see where maybe some elements of stealth may be able to play into this though. But at the same time, I think there is the worry of this could end up being like the kind of open world we see with like Ubisoft games with the Assassin's Creed series, to be exact. So there is that concern as well, and there are also concerns that it's also from EA, which on one hand, EA has been notorious, with microtransactions and so forth. We saw the backlash they suffered for Star Wars Battlefront 2. We saw the situation we saw with Anthem, and we're currently seeing with the backlash right now with their announcement of a new Skate game, which is going free to play with microtransactions. Though, on the other hand, though, we have seen the success of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which has recently gotten EA to be a bit more open to supporting single-player games now than they have been at the past, to be exact. So it's possible they could take that route and allow these developers to develop a single-player game without any live services or anything like that. So It's possible they could just take the same route they took with Jedi Fallen Order and the upcoming Jedi Survivor possibility. That's a possibility. As for the studio, though, again, Middle-earth Shadow of War was a good game, but I mean, not Middle-earth Shadow of Earth was a good game. I haven't played Shadows of War, though, but excuse me, but for what I understand, not everyone was happy about. A lot of people, because of the whole, I think there were microtransactions and loot boxes in that game, and not everybody was pleased about this, though. And the other concern is that, although it is a Marvel game, Marvel games don't guarantee that it's going to be a success, despite it being a popular brand, though. Yes, we've seen successes with games like the Spider-Man games on the PlayStation, and Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, The Black Order, did do very well. But for every success, we've also seen failures or setbacks, like Square Enix's Marvel's Avengers. Even Guardians of the Galaxy, as good as that game was, didn't do as well as Square Enix had hoped for, mostly because of the fact that people were still burned after what happened with Marvel's Avengers, to be exact. And that may be one of the reasons why they decided to sell off some of the Western studios and focus on, supposedly right now, the whole NFT crap, to be exact. Though there are rumors indicating that they're thinking Sony might buy Square Enix, but that remains to be seen. So yeah, there's so many ways this could go wrong, though, but I could definitely see the potential in a Black Panther video game if it's done right. So overall, it is a rumor. It's not 100% confirmed at this time. We don't know if this game will see the light of day or not, though. But if EA and this new studio plays their cards correctly and do deliver a good single-player open-world RPG type of a game, though, this could actually be a good thing in the end, though. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 3. And this one has to do with the KOTOR, or Knights of the Old Republic remake, and it looks like it's going to be, there's a good chance it could be heading towards development hell. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 3 of my 2 cent video, and for this one, we're going to be taking a look at the situation regarding the KOTOR, or Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake, and how apparently reports are coming out it could be entering development hell. Now, during one of Sony's presentations, though, it was announced that a remake of the very first original Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic was in development. Originally released in the early 2000s on the original Xbox, and then also brought over to the PC, though. The game has also seen itself be ported over to other systems, and of course recently towards the Nintendo Switch. Now, supposedly this game was supposed to be a PS5 exclusive, or timed exclusive, to be exact. Well, it seems as though, at least according to what Jason Schreier has reported via Bloomberg, though, it seems as though that game, at least according to what we're hearing about the developers, might be put on indefinite hold at this time, though. Now, unfortunately, the Bloomberg article is behind a paywall, unfortunately, though, but according to several sites, including this one from Game Radar, it reads, quote, the Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake is reportedly in serious trouble and has been delayed indefinitely. That's according to a new report from Bloomberg, speaking to people familiar with the ongoing development of the remake at Asperity Media. Throughout July, according to the report, studios heads have been meeting with employees to inform them that the Knights of the Old Republic remake is effectively on hold. This is reported so that the studio can search for new contracts and development opportunities. In late June, Asperity Media, if I'm saying the name correctly, presented Sony and Lucasfilms with a vertical slice of the remake to represent their vision of the final project. In the meeting the following month, studio heads told employees that the vertical slice wasn't where they wanted to be, and the two studios heads, design director Brad Price and art director Jason Miner, if I'm saying it correctly, have both been fired from the company. Ultimately, though, the fate of Knights of the Old of the Old Republic remake remains unclear, according to a new report. It's claimed that Asperity Media originally wanted to release the remake announced in September 2021 by the end of 2022. Employees speaking as part of the report now believes that a more realistic window is at some point at 2025, though not everyone is really sure about that. There's also belief that Saber, who was collaborating with Asperity Media on the remake project, now might take over the game completely. The Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic is still slated to be a PS5 console launch exclusive, but we'll have to wait to see if any further details about its ongoing development trouble. So, to me, if what this report for Bloomberg is saying is true, it sounds like the Asperity Media may have bit off more than they could chew, though. It sounds like it's because the studio has been known to do a lot of remakes of like old games, particularly some of the old Star Wars games, and for them to tackle this, do a full-on, not remakes or remasters of some of the other titles, but to take on this full remake turned out to be, it sounds like more than they can handle, to be exact, though. And part of me kind of would have wanted to see what this vertical slice was. Was this as bad as they thought it would be, or was it wasn't as bad as some people made it out to be? As for whether or not we will see this game, we'll see the light of day for this game, it remains to be seen at this time if that is going to happen, though. While it's always possible the game could make a recovery and actually come out and actually do well, Metroid Prime for the GameCube back in 2002 is one good example of that. There have been cases of games that have been in development hell for so long and have not met the greatest reputation at all. See games like Duke Nukem Forever, Alien Colonial Marines, Cyberpunk 2077. So it's possible that this remake of Knights of the Old Republic could suffer that same fate as well. It's also possible that, I can't rule this out, that in the end this game could outright be canceled altogether, and it wouldn't surprise me if that does happen. Again, we don't know. We'll have to wait and see, though. But right now, if what Bloomberg is reporting, signs are not great for the KOTOR remake. So overall, though, assuming what Bloomberg is saying, though, very unfortunate with the Knights of the Old Republic, what Knights of the Old Republic remake is going through. Hopefully the game can bounce back and find, and then when it comes to release, become very good, though. But right now it's in development hell. There's always, like I said, it's always a possibility it could suffer the fate of what happened to games like Aliens, Colonials, Marines. And like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if I hear this game gets canceled, though. That's not to say I want it to get canceled. I hope it doesn't, but it wouldn't shock me if that were to really happen at all. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to our fourth and final part. And this one has to do with a rumor of the possibility that Kid Icarus Uprising could be making its way over to the Nintendo Switch. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our fourth and final part of our My Two Cent video. And for this one, we're going to be talking about Kid Icarus Uprising and the possibility it could be coming to the Nintendo Switch. Now, the game Kid Icarus Uprising was released, I believe, back in 2011 on the Nintendo 3DS. This came out before when we had the old 3DS. We had the old 3DS. We didn't have the new 3DS, the new Nintendo 3DS, which had that C-stick on it, to be exact, though. This was one where it was just, the analog, somewhat of the analog slider and all that stuff. And what was interesting about this game was the way you had to play it. Some of it, you could use the A, B, X, Y button, but some of it was basically used to stylish, though. And they released a certain peripheral where if you play it too long with a stylus like this, though, your arm gets a little bit cramped, to be exact. Despite that, though, the game did get, some people did actually enjoy it, though. It was headed by Sakurai, who was known for, the Super Smash Bros. Series and all that stuff. But ever since then, we haven't really had any new entry in the Kid Icarus series. And Mr. Sakurai recently made a comment about basically shooting down the idea of the possibility of doing one to the Switch, saying how it would be kind of difficult to do that, though. From my perspective, I find that somewhat hard to believe, though I will admit I'm not a game developer, so I can't really say for certain, to be exact, though. Well, recently, a rumor started to pop up by a leaker by the name of Zippo, who recently posted how the possibility we could hear about something about Kid Icarus Uprising next year. Now, it is worth pointing out that this is a rumor, to be exact, though, so there's no official confirmation at this time, though, so a grain of salt should be taken. That being said, supposedly this leaker has a history of being spot on with a lot of the stuff that this person has leaked. While there have been different articles about it, this one was posted by him on his blog post at blogspot.com. Here's what he had to say. Quote, "Sorry to keep you waiting." Let's move this over. Okay. Here we go. It says, quote, "Sorry to keep you waiting. I told you I had more scoops. This one is a big one. Kid Icarus Uprising is absolutely one of my favorite games of all time. The gameplay, story, voice acting, and excellent soundtrack has remained part of me since I first played it a decade ago, and I played it many times since I treasure this game dearly. You'll be happy to hear a full remaster of the game is in development at Bandai Namco. There will be new, much more accessible control schemes, and the visuals are getting a much needed boost. There is one snag, however. The game's multiplayer mode will return, but it will reportedly run on Bamco's legendary awful netcode. If you played any of Bamco's games online before, Smash, Fighter Z, Tekken 7, you know how disappointing this piece of news is. Here's hoping that aspects change before release. Regardless, that's yet another beloved, long-requested Nintendo game coming to Switch. I, for one, could not be more excited. This remaster is due for release sometime next year." Now, like I said before, nothing has been confirmed at this time, so take this with a grain of salt. That being said, though, I could see this happening, though, to be exact, though, that Nintendo and Bandai Namco have worked together before. I believe Bandai Namco did help out with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, or the Mario Kart 8 in general, and with Super Smash Brothers as well. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that they could be working on this one, though. Although there were rumors that they were the ones developing Metroid Prime 4 until they had to Nintendo restarted development, although that hasn't really been 100% confirmed or anything like that, though. And I certainly would be open to see this game coming to the Nintendo Switch, because we've been seeing a lot of, titles from other systems start making their way. We've seen titles on the Wii U make their way over to the Switch, like New Super Mario Bros. U. We've seen The Wonderful 101, Super Mario 3D World. We've seen The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword from the Wii make its way to the Nintendo Switch. Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, somewhat of a remake of the first game on the Wii, making its way over to the Nintendo Switch. And with the Nintendo eShop on the 3DS and the Wii U starting to shut down next year, one of the downsides to an all-digital future and all, I would say this would be a good time to consider bringing this game over to the Nintendo Switch. And we've seen a lot of IPs that have been dormant sort of make somewhat of a comeback. And I think Kid Icarus would definitely be one that could benefit the most on the Nintendo Switch, considering how popular the Switch is and all that. Hell, I even think Star Fox could, if Nintendo could get their act together and develop an actually good Star Fox game, could actually work on there as well. So yes, it is a rumor, but I definitely am not going to rule this out. So overall, though, I think this one could be possible. Again, it is a rumor. We don't know 100% know for certain if it's going to happen or not. But I could see Kid Icarus Uprising in a way make its way over to the Nintendo Switch. And if Nintendo is thinking about bringing 3DS games over to the Nintendo Switch, I think they should bring the 3 Fire Emblem games over. Awakening, Fate, and Echoes to the Nintendo Switch. I think that would be a great opportunity to bring those games over to the Nintendo Switch as well. So yeah, like I said, this is a rumor, but I'm definitely would be down with this if this rumor about Kid Icarus Uprising coming to the Nintendo Switch does turn out to be true, though. Okay, let's conclude this week's My Two Cent. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about Kamiya's comments in regards about the whole Link's outfit and Bayonetta to the whole Angel mode of the upcoming release of Bayonetta 3. Do you agree with what he said? Do you disagree though? Are you kind of surprised that Nintendo wanted Link's outfit in Bayonetta to be a bit more revealing in any way? What are your thoughts about the possibility of a Black Panther video game? Would you be down with the idea of a Black Panther video game though? Do you think this game could work? Are you excited about it? Or are you concerned about how you feel like EA could mess this one up in general though? What are your thoughts about this KOTOR remake? Were you looking forward to this game when it was supposed to come out? Were you not looking forward to it though? Do you think this game is going to enter development hell? Do you think it will hit its 2025 release date? Or do you think this game will be outright canceled altogether? And what are your thoughts about this rumor about Kid Icarus Uprising possibly coming to the Nintendo Switch? Would you be down with the idea of a Kid Icarus Uprising coming to the Nintendo Switch, though? Are there areas like, do you want to see the controls improved in any way? Do you think they should put new content in it? And do you think this could open the door to the possibility of other 3DS games making their way onto Nintendo Switch, like maybe Fire Emblem, Awakening, Fate, or Echoes making their way over to the Nintendo Switch? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off on the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you do like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You do it through PayPal me or Patreon. Links will be in the description of this video, assuming you're watching this on YouTube. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!